on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, there you all are, and thank you for wanting to come in tonight to JW World News. Well, this is the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But, friends, I have to tell you, we talk about it every Saturday night and every other Sunday right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. So we're glad you're with us. We really, really are. I'll tell you what, the colder it gets, the more people we get coming into the news. Friends, there's always so many things happening every week as I go through all of the news articles people send me. And I want to thank you all for sending me news articles every single week. I really appreciate it. It helps me get the top stories that are going on in the Watchtower. But anyways, my name's Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world. Well, that's right up here in Boston. And I tell you that every week. And I tell you what, we got the bragging rights for it. We had, and I'm not going to beat it to death, but we had over 350 people that came up to the ex-Jehovah's Witness convention last summer up here in Boston, August 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And you just heard some of the people on Anne Marie's program that were there. Boy, did we all have a good time. And when I look back on it, I say, wow, it really was amazing that we had that many people. And we really appreciate the effort that everyone made to put the convention together. Well, there's always something going on in the Watchtower, right? But I'm a happy guy tonight. I don't know what it is. And we talk about it. It's the adrenaline rush. Well, when's the last time you got an adrenaline rush? Well, I'll tell you what. I got that last night. Oh, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't get back to sleep. I was telling my wife this today. I could not get back to sleep. I'm so excited. I'm very excited about what's going on with our little studio here. We have been producing AI films. My daughter Jamie, she's a graphic artist of the highest order. I mean, I'm not boasting about her, but she's very good, very talented, and she's been producing these shots that they call on YouTube. You know, they're only a minute, 2 minutes long. And also they call them reels on Facebook. And oh my goodness, I'm getting messages from Facebook. We're breaking records in here. This has gone viral. We had a new one come out just yesterday. And boy, I'm getting people writing me and saying they like this type of short videos. And you see it on Facebook, like say reels and shots on YouTube. But friends, it is connecting. It's connecting with not only the ex-Jehovah's Witness community, but it's also connecting with the loyal Jehovah's Witness community. And I've told you a million times on here, friends, people think in pictures, they remember in pictures, and they move to action in pictures. So I'm going to show you here tonight. I'm going to put the video up. I'd love to have you see it. It's all about Rutherford and how Rutherford actually was in favor of doing away with prohibition. He didn't like prohibition. Now, why do you think Judge Rutherford did not like prohibition? He didn't like prohibition because he liked booze. Now, I'm not saying that because the person likes booze, they're a bad person. There's many people listening to this program that drink a little bit. That's okay. But Judge Rutherford, Joseph Rutherford, Judge Rutherford, call him what you want, but he was known to do a little more drinking than normal. And I got this video that my daughter did. I'm going to put it up now so you can see it. And just give us a second here, and we'll play the video, and you'll get an idea of the type of stuff we're doing. This is the 4th video now that we put out. We put out a video. The first one we did, AI video, was of Russell actually claiming he was like a jellyfish. And his wife, Maria, she kind of agreed with it. He couldn't keep his hands off other women. And then we did another one on Charles Taze Russell and how he was connected with occultism. And that was quite good as well. And then, of course, we did one on Johannes Grieber and how the Watchtower used a spiritist to actually help them interpret portions of the Bible. Remarkably guilty on that one. There's no way the Watchtower could go with this. And then we just we produced one yesterday. It took us 2 weeks to do it, but we produced one here on Rutherford. So let's share it right now. Let me get it up here. Let me make it a big screen. All right, let's do this right now. Let me see how big that looks on the screen. Oh, that looks pretty good. Yeah, we can do that. So let's play it right now. I think you'll really, I think you'll like it. Let me get up here and be able to do that for us. So let's play the clip.
While leading a religious organization that preaches abstinence and righteousness, Joseph Franklin Rutherford, second president of the Watchtower Society, was known for his excessive drinking and personal indulgences.
Do you see that picture right there? That's an actual picture of Joseph Rutherford, second president of the Watchtower. Let me just back that up a little bit. I want you to take a look at this. You probably saw this picture online. We kind of made it come alive through AI, but that's Judge Rutherford. Look at him there. He looks half in the bag, doesn't he? You know when that was? That was back at Beth Serene. When they got the mansion, they were pretty much celebrating it. That, boy, this is great. We got a nice mansion here in San Diego, California. And sure enough, they were all drinking to it. And look at them. They're toasting. They're clinking glasses. Now, they used to do that then. Then somewhere along the Watchtower teaching trail, they did away with clinking glasses or toasting. But just in the last year, you can now do it again. So let's move on. So there it is. There's Judge Rutherford. But I want you to listen closely at what some have said he did during the Prohibition. Listen in. Hold on 1 second. Let me get up there and get this done.
King and personal indulgences. Despite the Prohibition, when the United States made it illegal to manufacture, sell, or transport any intoxicating liquors, Rutherford and his agents allegedly imported liquor illegally from the International Bible Association in Toronto to the Watchtower headquarters in Brooklyn. Rutherford even published articles defending the use of alcohol, highlighting his personal habits during his time leading the Watchtower Society, which stands in stark contrast with the spiritual sobriety promoted by the Jehovah's Witnesses. Despite the contradictions of their founding fathers and well-documented evidence, the Watchtower Society continues to refer to him favorably as Brother Rutherford, as mentioned on the official website, jw.org.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. Let's stop the sharing. There we go. All right, so that's something to think about, right? So these videos are really, really helping to get the message out. And so many people really have written to me and commented. I can't believe it. I haven't seen any activity like this in years here at the Six Screens. It's good because, you know, if something's too long, it loses attention. But that one there's a little under 2 minutes, and it got a lot of attention. I think even more than the other three. So share it if you guys come across it on Facebook or YouTube. Share it and get it out there. Let as many people see this as they can, because look, we all came out of the Watchtower. These are some of the things that brought me out. When I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I first started finding out about Beth Serene. I started finding out about all these other things that the Watchtower was involved in, the occultism in the Watchtower. This all really helped me tremendously to leave the Watchtower. So, a lot of people leaving the Watchtower right now, they don't really, they're not aware of all this. They have no idea that this is all going on. So, let's bring it up to speed. Let's let people really see that the Watchtower is got bad history, a lot of bad history. Well, I wanted to bring that up. So thank you for at least watching it. And for those that wrote me on it, thank you very much. It's very, very good. All right, let's take a look here. Let's see what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, I have to tell you with full credibility that it's clearly being seen now of the lack of enthusiasm from the Jehovah's Witnesses in the Kingdom Halls and in the service work. Clearly a lack of enthusiasm. In the last month, I've been getting a number of reports coming in here to the 6 screens of people who are going to the Kingdom Hall that are PMOs. And they're saying that the people that are attending, they have no enthusiasm. They're very unenthusiastic. Why would you be enthusiastic today if you were still one of Jehovah's Witnesses? I mean, they just told you in the November article of the Watchtower that the new system more than likely is not going to come in your lifetime. Can you be enthusiastic about that? And then a bunch of Bethelites, as we read, there was a letter leaked we read last couple of weeks ago on how they're letting all these Bethelites go. Now, if you're a witness and all of a sudden you're hearing all of these Bethel layoffs, I mean, is that an organization that's growing? How can you be enthusiastic about that? So everybody knows the tarnished image the Watchtower now has. And, after reporting for 20 years here on the 6 screens, it's so easy to see that they're not the elite organization that they one time were. And getting reports coming to the 6 screens that all born in, for the most part, young ones that are born in. Let's go with the last 20 years. Young ones that were born into the organization the last 20 years, they're not to be seen. They are gone. They don't want to be around anymore. We hear so many reports of, young kids leaving, and, they have to suffer dire consequence when they do. That they know what could really happen to them. So they have to really skirt around the edges, but some of them just, they're willing to really even have to move out of the house to not have to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And, now that we have AI, now let's face it, is there anybody out there in this audience that doesn't use AI? AI is remarkable what goes on in the medical world, right? I mean, even in our world, look at the AI video I just showed you. It's all created through artificial intelligence. But the point I wanted to really make about AI is all the information's right there. People will see it. They will come to grips with it. They will understand that, there's a lot to be said that AI is picking up on that a normal Google search wouldn't. So people are really getting a mouthful in the Jehovah's Witness religion. It's absolutely unreal that the Jehovah's Witnesses have even survived this long with the age of the internet, because we all know the internet is the great equalizer. Wow, I tell you, it's so good to be able to see things that are going on in the Watchtower and report to you all of this cynical, negative news. It always wasn't this way. But I wanted to also bring up something that has been coming into my 6 screens news briefs here concerning how people are addicted to bad news in the Watchtower. Well, were you addicted to bad news in the Watchtower? Did you really find that bad news was comforting? Well, to many, bad news was very comforting in the Watchtower, because what that would show you is Armageddon is close. If there was an earthquake, if there was a tornado, a bad tsunami somewhere around the world, or some mass shooting, it was always, bad news. As a matter of fact, the Watchtower really has, I believe the Watchtower organization really has grown to the point that it did. It's falling apart now. But I think one of the reasons why it even grew to be the organization that they became in the 80s and 90s is because of the bad news. And I can remember even, in the service meeting, we were told how to go out in service and how to present our message. And I can remember one little pitch that I used to use. I'd knock on the householder's door. Hi, my name is Rick Farron. I go to the local Kingdom Hall down the street here on Bridge Lane in Wilmington. And isn't it terrible that you see so many problems in the world today? See, this is a way the Watchtower would start a little pitch out. And then you get the person to agree. They say, boy, Mr. Perrin, it really is bad. It's bad what's going on. And then you say to them, well, wouldn't it be nice if all these problems were gone away and weren't here anymore? Well, there's an opportunity for you to live in a new world. You must have used that pitch too. So many people did. But that's what really brought a lot of people into the so-called truth. And in many people today, and I got a bunch of reports coming in here from people that are telling me their friends who are really peamy, loyal Jehovah's Witnesses. They're so addicted to watching the news. They watch it all day long, and anything on the news. Well, I'm sure they could really in the last week or so. I mean, if you were just sitting down watching Fox News or one of the newscasts on television, wouldn't you really go bazonkers with some of the stuff you're hearing? Well, let's just take the let's go with Trump. Okay, I won't make it too political here, but let's go with Trump. You know, this idea of going into Venezuela and taking the country over, and of course they're looking at it. Oh, look at this! This could land up as a war. Oh, and doesn't the Bible predict that there being wars one place after another? See, they could always pull something out of their hat and say, "Oh, look at this! We are so close to the end." So every day, the Jehovah's Witnesses watching the news. I used to kind of do it. I really did. I used to, oh my goodness, look at this. We got to be in the last days. Now, I'm not demeaning true Christianity here. I know that someday we will be in the last days. I don't know if we are now, but the Watchtower has crow on their face that they can't, continue to go on and push this Armageddon's coming. No one's going to believe them. No one's going to believe him. If a real Christian came out and said it, there might be a little more belief than a Jehovah's Witness say it. And then why do I say that? It's because you know how many times Jehovah's Witnesses said the Armageddon's right around the corner, Armageddon's at the tip of this pencil. Do you know what I mean? I mean, hundreds of times through their publications. So there's no way they have any credibility left. I mean, you can only cry wolf so often. So the Watchtower organization, they're in a pickle. They're not, even in the latest editions of the Watchtower, and I have to read them because I do this program. I don't encourage people to read them, but I read them. And what I see take place is they're not really mentioning prophecies. One time it was always prophecies and the witnesses were anti-typical of this happening in the Bible. That's all washed down the drain. The witnesses don't use that anymore. Why would they? They missed the mark on everything. So people watching the news, they're going to keep at least the PMEs, but not the PMOs. The PMOs are just getting sick of this. Can you imagine being a PMO and your mother and father are still loyal witnesses? I mean, how is that going to settle? And you're even living in the same house? That has got to be monumentally difficult, really. So I wanted to throw that on the table tonight because, I want to ask you guys out there: Did you really watch the news? Were you addicted to it as one of Jehovah's Witnesses?
Well, I was a news junkie and I made my living that way. So I have to thank the Watchtower for starting me at a young age.
Yes, Pixie. And I'm sure you looked at the news like I did, and a good many of the people that are listening to the program tonight. Everything. I'll tell you the big. In fact, I'm gonna throw this out to the audience tonight. What would you say was the biggest news event in the last 30 years in the Watchtower that really got people thinking Armageddon's here? I'll throw that on the table. What do you think was the biggest news event that the Jehovah's Witnesses took full advantage of? And they even got a lot more people going to the meetings because of it. What do you think it was, audience? What do you think it was? You want to take a guess, Pixie? Yeah. Who's this?
So it's Matthew from South Africa.
Oh, very good,
I
at
remember
Matthew.
getting a call from the. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I remember getting a call from the circuit overseer when just prior to the breakout, and it was being sensationalized because of course, the wording's very clever, and it's got this way to, how can I say, it's got this way about it that there's plausible deniability. But I remember the way it was being phrased was, yeah, this looks like this is leading to the tribulation. This is leading to Armageddon. So brace yourself for what's coming. And I remember saying to the circuit overseer, I said, oh, so you really do know when the end is coming, do you? Because the way he was getting carried away with himself was he was, and it can happen to any, I suppose, in that environment. He was allowing it to create a rush of sensationalism to, I suppose, with a good intent from that perspective to try and motivate to greater activity. But I put him on the spot. I said, yeah, this sounds like it's gone a little bit beyond what we're supposed to be doing. So to answer your question, I think it was that I would say I'd put it as the pandemic.
The pandemic. Well, no, that's a good one. I mean, in the last 30 years, for the witnesses to really get hyped up and overblown with a news story, that was one of them. It's not the one I was thinking of, but that was one of them, and it may have been one of the biggest. But I had another one in mind, Matthew, and we want to take a shot at it. What was the biggest news event that the Jehovah's Witnesses? I mean, they were just in their glory.
It would be 9/11, I would think.
Yeah, 9/11. 9/11. Pandemic, I'll put it.
I'll go with that too.
Yeah, 9/11. I can remember it. And, it was one of those moments where you knew where you were. Well, when something really huge takes place like that, the death of President Kennedy when he was shot, 9/11, we can all go back and remember exactly where we were, right? And I'll tell you, I was going out, getting ready for work. I was going outside, loading up my car. And all of a sudden, I hear my former wife, up in the window. Hey, Rick, something's going on. Something's going on in New York. I think some buildings are being bombed. I said, you sure? So I went running upstairs, and I couldn't believe what I'm seeing. Planes crashing into the building, and it was wicked. And it just so happened the Jehovah's Witnesses were working in my neighborhood when this happened. So I'm watching TV. I went down into the living room and I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden a knock at the door. And there is, I must have been about, I'd say, 8 to 10 Jehovah's Witnesses that were working the territory where I live. Oh, Brother Farron, someone just told us at the door that something's happening in New York. Can we watch it on TV with you? So they came into my living room, and I'll never forget this. I never will. And they made such a one sister. She was so hell-bent, so in glory that this is the end. This is Armageddon. I wish we had more articles on terrorism because everybody's going to take one. This is showing that we, Jehovah's Witnesses, are right. This is the last days. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I really, even though at the time I was a PMO, you could say, but still kind of leaning toward the so-called truth. But I haven't thought it was a little out of place, really taking advantage of, geez, you're seeing people walking through dust and dirt and jumping out of buildings and planes crashing. Geez, the last thing on my mind is this is going to be great for the witness work. But that's how she was talking. She says, boy, I got to get more magazines on terrorism. I got to get this out. This is my job. She was a pioneer. Can you imagine that? So I will put 9/11. I will put 9/11 at the top of the heap. Now, But that COVID, Matthew's right too. That COVID did cause a shock in the witness world too, because they would bring up, well, see, we're in the last days. There's going to be pestilence. There's going to be disease. There's going to be famine. So they were bringing this all up. So they had a heyday. But I'll tell you what, back there in 2001, it was more of a thing with 9/11 than COVID. And I'll tell you why. They actually brought more people into the so-called truth. I know people went back because of that. Seriously. They went back in the organization because they thought that the kingdom halls, and I was going to the meetings at the time, all of a sudden more people started coming in. I remember the first meeting we had in the kingdom hall on Sunday after 9/11. And man, I can still remember, who are these people? Oh, I haven't seen them for years. They all got frightened. And they wanted to come back to the kingdom hall and be saved by the Watchtower organization. Oh, I'll tell you, friends, we can all talk up a storm, can't we? I don't know what it was like in your kingdom hall, but my kingdom hall was going bonkers. But I saw, just while we're still on that story of 9/11, I saw in the New York Times, I subscribed to it at the time, and I saw the next day or the day after, and it was right there, big articles, of course, about 9/11. And it showed these Christian ministries that were down at ground zero, and they were setting up little booths and tables, and they were giving out water and sandwiches and doing everything they could to help the poor people who were trying to help all of the people, the rescue workers. They were really trying to really put forth an effort and help anybody that needed help. So I was thinking at the time, and I wasn't a staunch Jehovah's Witness, but I wanted to know, well, what are they doing? What is the Watchtower doing to help all those poor people at 9/11 when that happened? So 2 days after the 9/11 attack, I called the Watchtower, and they put me in touch with a lawyer. I don't know why, but I said, I have a question. I'm calling in from Massachusetts. So they put me in touch with this lawyer. And so I asked him, I said, I've been looking in the paper. I see all these Christian ministries that are really putting forth an effort to help all the poor people that have been affected by 9/11, and the poor people, the rescue workers and the dead ones and the families. And I said, what is the Watchtower doing? They were like, the way the crow flies, by the way, where Brooklyn is, it's only about a mile, the way the crow flies, maybe 2 miles if you take a taxi over there, drive over in a car. But I asked this lawyer at Watchtower, I said, now what do the Jehovah's Witnesses do? I really feel concerned. I hope that we are really helping these poor people. He said, oh, Brother Farron, don't you worry. We're helping. I says, well, what are you doing? He says, well, we are equipping 11, it was either 10 or 11. I can't remember what he said now. It was either 10. He says, we are equipping, go with 10 elders to go down to ground zero. And we printed additional magazines on terrorism. And they're going to go down there beginning tomorrow, and they're going to hand out magazines to all the poor people wondering what's going on in the world. Now, if you want to talk about exploitation, I mean, that's taking advantage of a situation like that. And I thought it was kind of I got off the phone. I was disappointed. Here I am seeing in the New York Times ministries giving food, ministries giving water and blankets, and what our people needed to help the needy at the time in the Watchtower. And then when I heard that people who, well, the day it happened, 9/11. So the people, the way out of that area where 9/11 is in Lower Manhattan, they had to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, many of them to get away from the dust and the soot and the dirt and the danger. So the big crowds of people were walking across the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, why do I say that with kind of disgust? Because the Watchtower headquarters is right next It was. It's not there now, but it's right. It was right next to the Brooklyn Bridge. And what I heard, I can't confirm it. It's just what I heard, is that the Watchtower actually locked all of the doors. All the poor people that have been hurt, and they're walking around.
Their magazine says people walked across and that they took them in and gave them a towel to wipe their face and coffee and donuts. But the story that you say where they locked the doors, I've heard that 3 times from witnesses themselves.
Well, I'll tell you where I heard it. I heard it from
I don't know which is true.
Well, I heard it from a Bethelite that told me that.
Yeah.
I heard it from a Bethelite that told me that. Now, I can't confirm it, so I can't say it's a fact, but I did hear it from a Bethelite. And
I did too. But they printed that they took people in, and they said in print that they gave them coffee and snacks. So they probably lied in their own publication. And the irony of that is they have a kitchen. They have a commercial kitchen. It would cost them very little to have some coffee and donut or snack or something for people that had been through what those people had been through.
And you know, you've been in the news media, Pixie, and I thought of this so many times. I mean, numerous times it came up. You know, here the Watchtower had such an opportunity to create great PR around the organization. Imagine if the Watchtower really did open it up and make a big deal out of it, which they should have. Come on in. We opened it up and have the newspapers call up the New York Times, even have the New York Times come down, the Daily News come down and take a picture. Put on look at what the Watchtower, they're taking care of people. They're putting some of these homeless people up that don't even have a home to go to. Boy, they could have came out smelling like a rose. That they could have got the biggest PR ever in the history of the Watchtower.
They claim those things, but they don't do those things.
Yeah. So I thought of that numerous times. Geez, what a golden opportunity.
Jesus said that people that claim things and don't do them were Pharisees.
Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And, you know, we come on every Saturday night, and look, there are good Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not going to tell you that all Jehovah's Witnesses are like the Watchtower. I pick on the Watchtower organization here. It's just not the Jehovah's Witnesses. Some of the best friends I had in my life were Jehovah's Witnesses. That they don't want to be my friend today, but some of the best friends I've ever had were Jehovah's Witnesses. And you guys listening in tonight, you as well had friends who were Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's sad. It hurts. It really, really does. I'd love to see, and I love to talk with some of my friends that I had when I was a Jehovah's Witness, because they won't talk to me. Even one of my own children won't. And it's probably, it's sad. You know, I'll tell you, one of the greatest excitements, one of the greatest joys, one of the best feeling of the world we live in. And you can feel so good when you're around your relatives and your friends and all the people you knew, and I would speak with them and talk with them. You want to talk about something that radiates confidence, something that makes you feel 10 feet tall. That does. And the Watchtower comes along and wants to take it all away. They take it all away from you so that your best friends that you had, even your own children, your father, your mother, they won't even talk to you. It's sad. I mean, it is. I'm not just, blowing things out here to look for sensationalism. I'm telling you right off the bat, that's one of the cruelest things that any organization could do is just rip families apart. Hey, Ron Withers, who wants us? Yeah, go. Oh, hold on, Pixie.
You have to be aware of how cruel they are. They have to be aware of it.
You got to be aware of it. Okay, we got some others, Pixie.
They're going to tell us how to dress again.
Well, we're gonna go, Pixie. We're gonna go into that story after this. So let's open up the lines, bring some other people on. Go ahead, Run with us.
Okay.
Who was it in there? Who wanted to speak up?
Oh, hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
I kind of, you'll take offense, but I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I'm not saying that Jehovah's Witnesses are bad people, but as long as you subscribe to that thinking, the qualities in a human being like that we're looking for, like positive qualities, are just not there. And I'll admit that when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I don't think I was a good husband or a good man, a good son, a lot of things. Because like looking back, like it kind of works your thinking a little bit, you know. I feel like I've become a much better man leading that organization and shedding out those traits. So with that said, I just for me personally, I'm not attracted, like, I don't mean in a male to female kind of way, but I just mean like I'm not attracted to a person in general who kind of has those Jehovah's Witness traits, because it's not, no matter what, you're thinking in dinosaur thinking, because that's I mean, if you have those Jehovah's Witnesses traits that we were all raised with, you know, if you were raised in the organization, this is all, you know, to lie and all this stuff is just all seems to be normal. I think that we're in a lot of ways that there are good people. I know I'm contradicting myself. There are good people in the organization, but at some point, Rick, you have to get out. And at some point, you have to put the line in the sand and say, you know what, my morality is better than this, and I don't want to be a part of this organization anymore. I don't want to have these traits anymore. I want to shed the very personality that they said for me to get rid of. I want to get that back. You know, it's like they teach us that our personality is wrong and that we need to put on the new personality. But anyways, that's my rant, Rick. Thank you for listening.
Well, Eric, you know, I'm on the same boat that you're on, and well, there's one thing that all Jehovah's Witnesses, whether they were my friends or not, even I think myself might have been a little like this. There's one bad trait, one bad characteristic that all Jehovah's Witnesses exhibit, and that is they're judgmental. They are perhaps the most judgmental group of people on the planet. And I found out more about that when I left. The friends and people I have today, they're nowhere near as judgmental as the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Rick.
Yeah.
Rick, you nailed it. Yes. They are the most judgmental people I have ever come across in my entire life. I mean it. I mean, I've seen all different types of people, Satanists, you know, Buddhists, all kinds of people, all different types of people from different countries that I've worked with in my years on this planet. And I'm telling you, I've never met such a judgmental group. You nailed it. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's the one trait I will say that even the so-called good ones have it. They judge people like you have been judged, Eric, like everyone listening on this program was an ex-Jehovah's Witness. You have been judged unfairly in every area of your life. If you don't go to the meetings regularly or you're out in service regularly, they will think something's wrong with you. They really will. If you're not a good father or a good husband, you know, they're going to talk about it. In other words, they're thinking if you don't go to meetings, perhaps you're slipping into immorality. I mean, they will make stuff up about you, and just to kind of chastise you and beat you down. It's really difficult to explain to people in the world how judgmental they are. And when I got out, when Satan kicked me out of the organization back in 2005, I really started seeing, boy, these are some good people outside the organization. I used to think that everybody outside the organization was so bad association. These people are worldly. These people are immoral. They're not all immoral and worldly people like the Watchtower told us. So it's a shame, but Jehovah's Witnesses will judge you on the basis of what you're doing. And if your activity declines, they will feel justified in questioning everything about you. Oh, Brother Farron, why didn't you come to the meetings anymore? Well, gee, my wife has been sick. Yeah, go ahead.
Rick?
Yeah.
Hey, can I just leave one last thought
Go ahead.
before I
Yeah.
go, Rick,
Yeah,
to
go
go
ahead.
along with what
Yeah.
you were saying?
Then we'll bring the other brother in. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm losing it. Give me 1 sec. Nah, I lost it. Never mind.
All right. Well, come back. Come back. All right. Who's on?
Yeah.
Who's?
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Who's the other man? There was a man on there.
Rick, it's Steve.
Steve, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Yep.
Rick, I mean, everything that everybody's saying about the witnesses being judgmental is true, but where that comes from and where it has to come from, that's how you have to run a cult. Because any disruption, any static from anybody, and we know this, is going to disrupt the cult and alter people's thinking. So that's why they're very strict about it. So whenever your service is not up to standard, it's either it's their way or the highway, literally. So that judgmental attitude has been programmed into every single witness from day one. And this is what cults do. And you can quote all the scriptures you want, but you're the only one living by anything biblical. Because this is a cult. The Bible is just a front for their activities. That's all it is. And if anybody's going to try to go toe to toe with the society and compare scriptures, they're laughing behind your back. Because you can say anything you want. It's their show. You're in their organization, and they can do and will, and we all know this, whatever they want, and there's nothing anybody's going to do about it. So that shunning, that coldness has to be there so they can continue to run their business.
Oh, Steve, always good to hear from you, Steve. That's a remarkable comment. That's you hit it. You nailed it. You nailed it. You got it. You got it. So we know that's just judgmental. I mean, it comes from the organization. They make the Jehovah's Witness judgmental. But that was one of the things I noticed that all Jehovah's Witnesses have. All of them are judgmental. Yeah.
They are trained to do the bidding of the organization. It's just like people on the other side of the world are going to stick up for their beliefs, for their religion, for their military. People over here, as a whole, do the same thing. So it's religion. They all teach they have the truth. And again, all this Jehovah's Witnesses are, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, is a storefront. The investments they have behind the scenes, the partners they have behind the scenes, that's all it is. And the being a non-for-profit gives them the opportunity to get into and go places they couldn't do without the facade of being Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. That's all it is. And people take that religious part too seriously, and they quote scriptures. It's like, that's not what it's about. They're missing the whole point. It's all a facade. Don't quote scripture for scripture. They don't live by it. Why would we say, well, the Bible says this and that, and they, as Jehovah's Witnesses, are wrong. They shouldn't be doing that. It's a business. People need to get over that and really see this organization for what it is.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Steve, for chiming in on it. And you got it. You nailed it. Thank you. Thank you for dialing into the 6 screens.
Rick?
Yes, Anne-Marie.
If it's okay, may I comment on the 9/11 fiasco?
Of course.
I spoke directly to 3 Bethelites who had left in 2002, and the one in the middle did the most talking while the other 2 nodded to what he was saying, and they were hanging their heads, looking very ashamed. The one in the middle, the Bethelite who had left, told me that in the beginning of 9/11, when Bethelites were hanging out their windows, yelling and laughing and saying, now you're getting yours, Armageddon's here, you should have listened. They were just being really rude. And then they were instructed by the elders to pull their heads in and lock the windows and the doors. And it was as the poor...
Well, I think Anne-Marie got cut off there. You still with us, Anne-Marie? Okay.
Yeah, something said I was invalid.
Oh, no, we're still hearing you now. I cut off for a while. So what would you like to add? Anything else? Okay, so we got some problems with Emery's phone, but that's good. We got the gist of what she's saying. She got it from 3 Bethelites as well, that they locked up the doors. So, we've heard this. Can I claim it as an absolute fact? Don't take it to the bank and cash it. But I got news. I believe it did happen. Yes, go ahead. You're on with us.
JP, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I think the two most significant things in the Watchtower history in our modern times was 9/11 and then the COVID-19 pandemic. Because I lived through both of those, and at both of the times when those events were happening, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, but at both times when those events were happening, I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. When 9/11 happened, I quit going to meetings when I was 17, when I was a senior in high school, and I graduated that June of 2001. And then 9/11 hit that September. And I remember a lot of my friends in high school when I was a senior, a lot of them were signed up to the military, to go to the Marines, the Army, Navy, all that. And every single one of my friends that I knew in high school that signed up for the military that senior year, that summer, went to, fight in the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. But I remember when 9/11 happened, I was staying at some friend's house, and I had been kind of in a cat and mouse game with the elders because I quit going to meetings. And so they were always trying to track me down. So I was hanging out with, they would consider worldly people, and I spent the night at a friend's house. And I remember they hadn't paid their electric bill, so their power got shut off. So the whole night we had candles on and we were just hanging out. And the next morning, the people I was at their house, they would always have a tendency to leave their front door unlocked. It was just like that in the neighborhood. And that morning, the neighbor just came in I was sleeping on the couch, and the neighbor walked in the living room and he said, "Hey, we're under attack." And nobody really paid too much attention to it. So I woke up and I remember looking out the door, and I looked down the neighborhood, and I could just see a bunch of people on their doorstep, and everybody was talking, and a lot of people were crying and stuff. So I knew something really bad had happened. So I took the bus home, and I remember I got home and my mom was getting ready for work. She was putting on her makeup, and by then the second plane had hit the second tower. And I remember my mom looked at me really straight faced, and she said, "You know what, like we're in the last, this is it, like we're about to hit the Great Tribulation, like you really need to get back to the meetings, it's really serious." And then I remember later that week, an elder called me, and he was very serious. He told me that he thought that we were in the Great Tribulation and that I need to get back before it's too late and stuff. But I never went back, Rick, until a couple of years later. And then I was in the organization for a long time, and then 10, 12 years go by, and then it was I was inactive for a couple of years. And then December of 2019, I started going back to meetings, and then COVID-19 happened, and meetings got shut down, and a lot of the world was scared. Some people were awake, some people were scared. I really didn't know what to do at that time. It was a couple of months later, so I really woke up. But at that time, I was trying to return to the organization and stuff, and they had me really hyped up, on what the broadcast was saying and what the witnesses were telling me at that time. This is like in 2020, and I really thought that, especially early in 2020, I would say about during that summer when it was all those protests and riots from the George Floyd murder going on, and what was going on with lockdowns and that, I was really convinced, Rick, that that this was it. It was about the great tribulation was about to break out and everything was about to go to hell. But that didn't happen. And thank God I woke up, a few months later and realized that the witnesses were just false. But yeah, I would say those are the two things that have kept this organization going. And they're still going on that. Like, if you look on their website, I think about a day or two ago, they put an article up that says you will hear of wars. So they're just pretty much go on whatever the current events are, and they just keeping people in fear with whatever the current events are happening. But we have to realize that these things have always happened, and whether you're a believer or not, we have to realize that we can't be in fear and control, because it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses that do this and use current events or things to keep people in fear. A lot of other religions and stuff, even based off the Bible and Christianity, are doing that to people and keeping people enslaved and locked up to these ideas that we're in the end and this is the last days and everything's going to go to hell. But we really don't know what's going to happen. So, as whether you're a believer or non-believer, you have to do what you think is best to get through this situation, and live the most beneficial life that we can live now.
Well, you're right,
That's all I have to
JP.
say,
Well,
Rick.
thank you, JP. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Yep. All right.
Rick, is Rick?
Yeah, yes. This is Maverick.
Hi, Rick. This is JJ from the UK.
Yes, JJ.
I haven't spoken for a while, but interested in your discussion this evening. One of the things that stuck in my mind. Do you remember the grab bags or the go bags?
The go bags, absolutely, JJ. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a euphoria around these bags because we all had to have them and all the gear that had to go inside them. And I remember because I was an elder at the time, and obviously we would have to go around each member of our groups and make sure that they all had the bags ready, had plenty of supplies in their food, and reserves for at least 3 or 4 days. But the angle was we just don't know when Armageddon was coming. We wanted to be prepared, and so it was in the forefront of the brothers and sisters' minds all the time. And it's just something they still do. They do it every year. There's a reminder that comes to the congregation through the body of elders to make sure that their bags are up to date and that they've got plenty of reserves and have got a plan if an event happens. And coming back to your thought as well about way brothers and sisters judge each other, it certainly was encouraged within the congregation. I think it's presented as if you're looking out for each other, but actually what you were doing, if someone wasn't at the meeting, or if they weren't at the group or out in the ministry, then you would personally ask them questions if there was anything that was the matter or there was a problem, or could you help in some way? And if you suspected that there was an issue, then you would even go to the elders and report it to them so that they may go and give some assistance. But since we left, my wife and I, you see, my situation was that I was an elder and I got concerned about some things which I have mentioned to you in the past. And it was a private matter. I went to the elders, I explained exactly why I was leaving, and I resigned as an elder and I walked away from the Kingdom Hall and have never gone back. No one knows my backstory. Nobody knows anything other than the 2 elders that I spoke to. But when we go into the shops or we walk around the streets locally, our friends, people that we knew, will just turn their back and walk away. And it's funny, today, separately, you may know, I'm sure you remember him, is called Jimmy the P-Man. Now, he's an individual that's still within the organisation I talk to regularly, and he's communicated with you as well, giving some highlights and some updates on some latest information that's come through the organisation. But I was talking to him today about how upsetting it is to be judged by individuals that know nothing about why I've left or the reasons that my wife and I are making the stand we are. And to have them come up with, I've heard stories that are being said about me, things made up about me that are just not true, to ruin my name and my reputation. This is very common. And this happens, especially when, well, I call them brothers and sisters still, but they're individuals that don't know. And because they don't know, this means that they have to kind of fill in the gaps and try and work it out. And of course, they come up and they say things that are really quite upsetting. They brand you with this name, you're an apostate and you're doing the organisation harm. But all we have done is just walked away.
Well, very good, JJ. That's a good little analogy, good narrative, and you nailed it. I mean, these guys, everything you just said is true about it. Good job. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you going back to what you were talking about 30 years, if you could just step back a little bit further to the fall of the Berlin Wall, that really fell into their peace and security, their thought mind on peace and security, because they were just saying, it ain't going to be long now. It ain't going to be long, Gorbachev and all that, and the fall of communism, and I remember the circuit overseer coming in and saying, this is not the time to be messing around, and going to talk about, how they do you is, it's like a bunch of Nazis, that's the way the Nazis operated, turn people in and single you out and what have you, if you don't believe in their belief system. But anyway, I wanted to comment on that.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you, Jeff. Yes, you're with us. Who's this?
Oh, it's Mike.
Mike, what do you have to say?
Well, yeah, I was just going to, you were talking about things, what was it, 87, I think they made a big deal, the International Year of Peace. I believe it was 87.
Yeah, I do remember that. I think it was 87 too, but the International Year of Peace. Of course, they were peace and security.
I remember my dad was telling me, I can remember my father, I was pretty young then, but I can remember my dad was telling me at the convention the previous year, must have been 86, that the final discourse, they brought it out that the next year is going to be a International Year of Peace. Like, it's supposed to really mean something.
Well, good. You got a good memory, Mike. A good memory, and hoping you're doing a little better too. Hoping your foot's getting better for you. I know that hurts, but you're doing good. Things are moving in the right direction. Yeah.
But so, what
Yeah.
did you say? 1962, the Cuba crisis.
Oh, that's another one, Grace. Is this Grace?
No.
Oh, you sound just like Grace. Yeah. In fact, are you from Sweden too?
No, pretty close to it. Yeah.
Where are you from, sister?
I'm not. I'd like to say.
Okay, you don't have to. No, don't say it. No, I don't want you to get in trouble. That's good. But thank you for coming in. So yeah, the Cuba crisis. Well, you go back a while. That was back. Well, that would have been back around
1962.
1960.
1962.
So you were a witness at the time, and I was too.
No, I wasn't a witness, so that's why I don't know how the action.
Well, I kind of remember I was young at the time. I would have only been, let's see, 62. I was only I was only I was 14. I was 14 years old. But I remember. Oh, I remember. In fact, witnesses brought it up in the Kingdom Hall. Oh, look at this. Nuclear, the war, Armageddon, round the corner. Well, good. Thank you, sister. That's good. Hey, that's
Yeah, no, when the goat, we supposed to be posted back to my country where I come from, and he couldn't go. So they sent a woman by boat back, and the guys later they came by plane. Yeah, so I had to go with my son by myself on the boat.
wow.
Yeah, 1962. Everybody was scared. 1962.
Wow, you got some good memories there, sister, right?
Well, I hope so that I keep my memory still. I'm an older person.
Well, don't lose your memory. It's a good thing to have. You just
No,
you
no,
got
I don't. No, I don't.
well,
I
well,
don't think so. No, because in the family, it's Alzheimer in the family, and but so far there's no signs of
so how long were you a Jehovah's Witness?
Jehovah's Witness for 16 years. I mean, 16 years.
Wow. So what got you out? What made you leave?
What got me out the child abuse
Yeah.
and other stuff what happened personally to me too. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, anytime you like to tell you.
And out only just recently, and so our congregation it's actually a really nice congregation, but now I wrote him a letter that I don't like to be recognized as a witness, and of course, then he said that I'm no longer Jehovah's Witness, and now when I run into them, they don't talk to me, so that's a bad feeling.
Oh, it's a terrible feeling, sister. It's a terrible feeling.
Yeah. And I'm surrounded by them, and when I go in the grocery store, so I'm bound to run into them, and that's horrible. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Do you have any friends outside?
Yeah, I made friends outside. Yeah.
Well, good for you. Well,
And, I'm glad my immediate family never was in it. So I'm glad for that.
well, I'm glad for you too, sister. Well, my goodness, I thank you for calling into the Six Screens. I know you came in a couple of times in the last couple of months, but thank you for doing that. That's really good. People love to hear from you. And if you'd ever like to,
Yeah, no, everybody, each time I got opportunities here the other day, I had to get the ice out of the driveway, and then here one of the neighbor stopped and talked to me, so I told her that I'm no longer a Jehovah's Witness, and she was so pleased that I'm outed. The witnesses all of us went to her house and tried to get her, for a Bible study. They call it Bible study. That's not a Bible study. A Bible study is you study out of the Bible.
what?
And so she was so glad that I'm out of there. So she was smelling the coffee way before they went on her door all the time.
Well,
She said, no, it's a bad organization. That's what she told me.
Yeah. Yeah, she's waking up and smelling the coffee. Now, when you were a witness, did you find the fellow Jehovah's Witnesses judgmental?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked.
Judgmental, and they're really cowards too. That's what they are, cowards.
Oh, the cowards, yeah. But another thing I was going to say too, because when I left, a fella came on early, got us on this subject. Eric did, but he was saying, Rick, we thought all Jehovah's Witnesses aren't good. And there's some that are, but when I left, I realized that all Jehovah's Witnesses are judgmental. Then another thing, yeah, they judge you for everything. And then another thing that I found out about Jehovah's Witnesses too, since I've been out, I get so many good friends now, real friends, genuine friends. And I didn't realize how abnormal the Jehovah's Witnesses were until I left. And then it hit me. I'm saying, my goodness gracious, I'm meeting some really good people here. But one of the other things that Jehovah's Witnesses do, and I experienced this, and I'm sure all you folks listening in do, the Jehovah's Witness people they're full of envy and resentment. So you say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, what it is, well, there's jealousy that comes in. And I really mean that. You know, if you have if you're an attractive woman and, you go to the Kingdom Hall, they feel jealous about you. We've had people come on here that did that, and they were told not to dress like that. You look, too sexy, and like a prostitute or whatever. And they're full of envy. So you have an attractive sister or a handsome brother, he'll be picked on too. And they're full of resentment. And then I got realizing why is it? Why does the Jehovah's Witness people, why are they so envious of others? They're like jealous and envious. And it's a way, as I did a little research on it, they have to exteriorize their feelings. And they're so pent up on envy that they will attack someone or attack an attractive sister or give a brother trouble as well. So it's something I did realize that took place. And I see it's so abnormal. It happened so many times in the witness world that they were all envious and jealous. It's a performance-based religion or a work-based religion. If you're doing good, everybody loves you. You're doing bad, forget about it. So it's something that we talk about every Saturday night. Well, thank you, sister, for coming on and being with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you, sister.
You're doing such a good job, Rick, and you never ask any money for anything.
No.
And you always pay everything out of your own pocket. And that convention was a really nice convention what you had. And so if there would be other conventions, somebody else has to do that convention. And there's too much on your shoulders. Let somebody else do next convention.
Yeah, well, we had fun. We had a lot of fun, and we got a good many memories from it. But thank you, sister, for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're a good lady.
Thank
now, don't you ever change.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing such a good job, and have a good evening. Bye.
Well, you too. Bye-bye now. So was that Randy?
Hello?
Is that Randy want to come on? Randy M? Is that him? No?
Yeah. Hey, Rick. I just want to briefly mention about the discussion you were having about how you feel, and the previous caller too, that you're both better persons after you left the organization. I mean, we all thought we were each good when we were in, but we find out we're better when we leave. And I think I have an answer to that.
Yeah.
I think that organization is, well, they're so controlling. It's a narcissist organization, and so they want that passed down right on down to the family unit. So they'll have the husbands be that kind of controlling instead of being a partner and everything. Is very controlling, and I'm ashamed I was that way. And so I'm glad I'm not that way, and got out of being that way. I mean, I remember when we first got married, I was young, I was like 19, and I went without even telling my wife, sold her car, traded her car off. And that was the wrong thing to do, first of all. But especially, I was so excited to show her, come see this this pickup I traded for. And got her out in the driveway, and we backed up, put it in drive to go around town, and it would not go at all. The transmission went out right there on the spot.
Oh.
So, and that's the whole thing is, like, I feel so bad for the sisters that's in. They've got a husband that's a witness. I mean, they're just being. It's not a partnership. It's more of a dictatorship, and they're having to be under. How can I say this? Stockholm syndrome, not only to the organization being captives or victims of the organization, but now they're captives to their husbands. And that just makes a double whammy for the sisters, I think.
Oh, it sure does, Randy. And you don't seem like a controlling man. I can't even imagine you were like that. And I'm sure you weren't that bad. But I'm going to talk. There was a letter. I'm going to read the letter coming up here next well, it ties in with what you're talking about. How the brothers are even husbands are so controlling over their wives. It's a leaked letter. You probably already heard about it, but I'm going to read it here tonight and we can discuss it. A letter that was written to the Bethelites, and where you hear it. Yeah. Thank you, Randy. Always good to hear from Randy. Always good to hear from Randy. No, he's a pilot, and I'll tell you what, he's flying all over the country, and he's really enjoying life since he left the Jehovah's Witnesses. We always love Randy when he comes on. Well, you're on the Six Screens Telenetwork. This is where ex-Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk, and we do it every Saturday night right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. Someone want one other thought or another thought before we move on?
Hey, Rick.
Yes, who's this?
This is Junction Guy.
Oh, Junction Guy. Always good to hear from Junction Guy.
Yes, I just wanted to make a little comment about the 9/11 thing. By the time 9/11 hit, I was a well-seasoned apostate or opposer, Even then, I was well-seasoned apostate, but it gave me pause. I remember driving down the road thinking to myself, what if they're right, And then I was like, no, they've lied from the beginning and they're still lying to this day. So it even tested me for a little bit, even just for a minute.
Oh yeah, it's full of lies, Junction Guy. And I know you go way back too. Yeah, you're not a newcomer to the apostate world. You've been around for many years now. How long have you been out of the organization?
Physically out since late 93, completely mentally out since 97 when I got on the internet.
Wow. Look at that. Well, that's amazing. Well, I'm glad you're out. And I've always enjoyed your post. And when you used to post on JWN, you're a good man, Junction Guy. Don't you ever change.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. All right. So you're on JW World News. Who wants to speak up before we move to the next story? Anyone else out there? All right. Well, let me bring this story up because I wanted to share it with you. It's probably the biggest buzz going on this week in the ex-witness world. And it will be one of the biggest buzz stories going on in the witness world as well. There was a leaked email from the personnel committee of the governing body. So let's say the governing body, they sent an email out. The Bethelites probably haven't received it yet, but it's going to come out probably this week. I don't believe they have it as of yet. But it deals with the Bethel dress and grooming guidelines. So they're basically saying, well, I'll read you portions of the letter, but they're saying that no extremely short masculine hair for sisters. They don't want the sisters wearing a short haircut. And the brothers' beards must be neatly trimmed and no tight-fitting or sensual clothes. So that's the gist of the letter. I'll read it to you, and I think I got thinking, it's terribly boring. God, I can't imagine that God, Jehovah God, would really look at this organization as being his chosen people, so to speak. Jehovah God must be terribly bored with this organization if he's got to really, get deeply involved in dress code again. They just, within the last couple of years, they dropped a lot of the dress code. Now, this letter's to the Bethelites now. I want you to know this is not to the general congregation. But what it does is it will filter down. Let me just grab some water here. Hold on 1 second. I'm talking, gets a little raspy up there. So bear in mind now, this letter is going to the Bethelites.
Sounds like they went totally beatnik up there at the lake.
Well, what happened is, they relaxed in the last couple of years. beards. Men can have beards. Women can wear slacks. So, the hair wasn't an issue anymore. But now all of a sudden, because everybody took you give these guys an inch, they all took a mile. So you get brothers walking around with straggly beards. You got women walking around with sensuous and tight slacks. So it's getting the governing body evidently upset. But I think what this is a trial balloon. I think they're writing to the Bethelites first, and trying to set the example. And then, if they have to, there might be a letter written to the congregation. But let me I'm going to read. I'd like to read the letter, at least part of it, to you. The personnel committee of the governing body. Well, this should be like the human resource department in a big company, right? So you get a personnel committee. They kind of work with all the people in the Watchtower. And I'm just gonna mute a couple of people here because I got some background noise here. All right, I'm just gonna mute some people here. All right. And that way we won't get all that click and clack in the background. But anyways, let me start reading. Personnel committee of the governing body. To selected special full-time servants with a Bethel or a design construction enrollment. So if you're working, and when we learned in the last couple of weeks, just about all of the Bethelites in the future are going to be commuters. They're going to be commuters. So, so here's the letter. Dear brothers and sisters, we are proud to serve along with you, dear brothers and sisters. In view of the privilege, we enjoy a special full-time service. We need to give attention to the matter of dress and grooming. Why is this important? Consider 3 reasons. First, our appearance reflects the high standards of the God we worship. Second, we want to be an example to the faithful ones. Each year, brothers and sisters from around the world visit Bethel, and they often imitate the standards of dress and grooming they observe. Third, we are visible in the community. Our appearance may influence how others view the truth, favorable or unfavorable. Okay, I'll stop there and we'll read more, but I just want to give my thoughts on this. I think something went a little amok with this dress code. As Pixie was just saying, I think some people took it too far and went too far with it. So now the Watchtower is going to come back. And imagine the Bethelites. I mean, the Bethelites were always like the, pristine, clean clothes, well-pressed clothes. I mean, even their blankets and pillowcases. I believe they still iron their pillowcases. I mean, everything is like got to be right. We got some people here. I'm gonna mute some. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I'm gonna mute some people. Please don't unmute yourself until I'm kind of down with my little narrative here because it's very disruptive. So I'm gonna mute those who are open just because it makes a lot of noise. I want a nice clear. I want everyone to hear this because I'm sure everyone's got something to say about it. But here we go. It's just within the last 2 years, they took the dress code and they said, fine, we can now relax a little bit. Now they're coming back with it, at least to the Bethelites. Now, in this letter, I'm reading it right verbatim. In this letter, we would like to share some helpful guidelines on dress and grooming based on 3 scriptural principles. Well, they're just showing devotion to God, Jehovah, and modesty is being respectful to God and what have you. It's kind of a long letter, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. So, but it does say here that they don't want the Bethelites dressing like people in the world. And they're giving now counsel to the Bethelites to really, up the ante here a little bit and dress better. Then it talks about attire when working. Now, there's all kinds of assignments at Bethel, right? There's people who work in the office, the accounting office. There's people who work in the book publishing part of it all, binding books and working with ink. But it says attire when working. Our clothing should be clean. Well, that's okay. I go with that. Modest and appropriate for the task, reflecting the dignity of Jehovah's organization. Personal comfort or style should not be the primary factor in determining whether a garment is acceptable. I mean, sometimes it's, if you're going to be working in a like physical work, if you're going to be washing windows there or doing the ironing in the laundry room, it'd be nice to have, kind of like comfortable clothes on. All right. I mean, you don't have to wear short shorts or provocative clothing, but the Watchtower, see, they got to up the ante here on people and really get them to adhere to what they're saying. So it says, we avoid clothing that has holes or tears that and is too tight fitting. Well, you probably see them wearing some of those jeans with the holes in them. I mean, I never really cared for those, but I mean, maybe some of you guys do like them. But I wouldn't think, I'll go along with the Watchtower on this one. I don't think you should be wearing those jeans with holes with them around. It's just my own thoughts. Don't take it personal. But I go along with them. Now, when possible, we recommend that you use these facilities rather than return. Okay, what they're saying here is, if you're going to come into Bethel and your clothes are dirty, there's facilities there in Bethel, I guess washrooms, restrooms, whatever you want to call them, where they can go and change their clothes if they're dirty, and that way they won't be walking around Bethel with dirty clothes. Brothers who work indoors should wear presentable long or short sleeve shirts that cover the upper body, full length slacks, and suitable footwear. So they're saying here that, they say here that they don't want any skin shown even on the brothers. I mean, it's really hot in the summer. No such thing as taking, a man taking a shirt off. I mean, you see it all the time, even at construction sites. I'm thinking if they're building that big media center, a man, he's still allowed to take his shirt off. It's just not that, I don't look at it as some sexy thing or anything. So consequently, they don't want the men wearing that. Even on construction sites, they don't want you to take your shirt off, because I guess brothers were doing it. Then it goes on. Now listen, this is on sisters. Sisters should wear modest clothing that is appropriate for their assignment. They should dress as they would when presenting a part in the program at a convention meeting. So I get that too. So they're asking sisters to be appropriate in your dress. And they're even saying that if the work assignment calls for a sister wearing slacks or jeans, that'd be okay. But, if you're working in like the office parts of Bethel, then they're more or less suggesting that a woman wear a skirt or a dress. Then they talk about Bethel tours, how those giving the tours should be super exemplary. They should be the ones that really dress the best because people are coming in and seeing them. So they're just saying how you have to dress for meals and certain work assignments. But the thing that I really found of interest here, and would really tick probably a lot of the people off, is the fact that what they said about brothers in watching over their wives. And this was something that I would be really offensive if I was a woman. And the craziest thing that I see written here in black and white is that the brothers, they had to counsel their wife. So let me just explain this. So you got an elder, and he's looking at Brother Farron here, okay? So he comes to Brother Farron and he says, Brother Farron, your wife, she's wearing her skirt is too short. So you got to go to her and tell her that she's got to, wear a longer skirt. So if they're giving counsel, if you're a brother at Bethel and an elder comes to you and says, your wife is not dressing because she's dressing like she's dressing like a prostitute, or however, you gotta go now and tell your wife that, honey, you've got to dress better now. Someone's watching you, and they want the husband to show humility and to listen respectfully to the brother who's speaking about his wife's dress or grooming. I think that's a little bit out there, but I know this happens in the organization. And so But I can just think of this. I mean, suppose just use me, Brother Farron, okay? So, brother, I'm at Bethel. I got a wife at Bethel. So, Brother Bob comes up and says, "Hey, Brother Farron, I gotta, please remember to show humility when you tell your wife how she looks. She looks too sexy. She looks like a prostitute. I mean, really, they'll come right out and tell you that. So now you got to tell her how the brother is just suggesting this. Doesn't that put a man in a very awkward situation? Wouldn't it? I mean, my position would be, well, why don't you go tell her? Why don't you go tell? I mean, this happens. I know this is a fact. Well, what it is in Jehovah's organization, they don't really. If a husband has a wife and the wife is causing some disturbance in the congregation, maybe whether it's with dress here or grooming, or it could be something else. Maybe she's gossiping too much, or maybe she's not showing enough time out in service. So rather than, the elders approach the sister, the wife, and say, Sister Farron, it'd be good if you could do this. They don't do that. They go to the husband and they say, you should tell your wife this, and she should respect you, and you should humbly respect what we're saying to you. They don't go directly to the sister. They go to the husband. Now, if the sister's not married, then they would, but they go to the husband, and it's his responsibility to tell his wife. I mean, that can cause a family feud. That can cause an awkward situation. But the elders, they're not your friends. See, don't think the elders are your friends. The elders are following the direction to manipulate, to exploit, and control you. Right down from the governing body, the instructions come. So, it's just something that we all have got to think about. Now that we're out, we can think clearer about it. But when we were in there, we just listened to the voice of the elder. All right, this is what we have to do. Elders are not there to help you, folks. I want you to know that. Elders have no control on you now that you're out of the Watchtower, now that you're not in the Kingdom Hall. The control stops at the Kingdom Hall, at the Kingdom Hall door. And never trust an elder. They're not qualified. The elders are not qualified to advise you on any important personal matters. They're not trained for this. So this idea that the elders are there and they're directed by Holy Spirit, that is a crock of baloney. So what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think is grooming change?
I think some of these sisters are just very beautiful, and they look like a Marilyn Monroe or a Beyonce, and some of them with no makeup would be very beautiful and stunning too, and they can't tone it down. I remember an elder saying to a relative, well, you can tone it down. There was never a more sweeter, more spiritual person than that person. That person was born exquisitely beautiful. Unless we put on the shadar, some of us can't tone it down.
Well, I'll tell you, Pixie, I feel what it is the Watchtower organization the last couple of years that we discuss here every Saturday night. They've made really big changes in their policies and even in their doctrine, but just focusing on policies with this grooming. I think they really did it without thinking too much. It should have been kind of outlined explicitly what the Watchtower was looking for in grooming. But as I said earlier, it seems like some people took it to the nth degree and really got to the point that they were dressing like a bunch of ragamuffins. I mean, I've seen it right here in Lowell.
That might have been too. But unlike those nice Celtic men up there in Boston that know how to appreciate a pretty girl, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society has never respected or appreciated women properly. They'll put us down and tell us we need to do this and that. And some of us are just being sweet and submissive and reading our Bible. But there's just some women that just look wonderful and they try to tear us down.
Well, we had a girl, I don't know if you guys can remember this, and it's one of, in 20 years of doing this program, there's certain programs that stand out in my mind. And the woman came on her name was Courtney. And Courtney had friends that were Jehovah's, well, not friends, but they're knocking on the door, and she got to know these people. So they invited her to go to the Kingdom Hall. So Courtney went to the Kingdom Hall, but the poor girl was very poor. The girl was very poor. She didn't have a job. She didn't have any money. She didn't have good clothing. So she put together in a closet what she could wear. And so she wore a skirt. It wasn't super short. It was a little above the knee. And Courtney only had a pair of boots to wear, so she put that on. And she went to the Kingdom meeting for the first time. First time going to the Kingdom Hall. And Courtney went back in the bathroom, and two sisters, two staunch, loyal Jehovah's Witness sisters, followed her into the bathroom and said, "You don't want to come to the Kingdom Hall looking like that. You don't look good." They told her she looked like a prostitute. Now, can you imagine? I mean, she was right on the 6 screens. She was telling this on the 6 screens. And now here's a girl, poor as can be, no money, but she went to their meeting because they invited her to go, and yet those sisters had the audacity to go into that ladies' room and read her the riot act. She never forgot that. She told the story in the 6 screens. That is absolutely disgusting to me. You don't. Does God really look at your looks? Does he read your heart, or does he read what type of clothing you're wearing? I mean, I don't expect you to wear something that's over the top, but God doesn't look at your clothing. Where'd the Watchtower ever come up with this? Now, it's nice that they dress up if they'd like to. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But geez, at what point does God really judge a person by the clothes they wear? But the Watchtower does it. They're glad to do it. Okay, who wants to say hello to us? You're on with us. Hit *6.
Hey, Rick, me, Deborah.
Deborah, what do you have to say, Deborah?
Well, I'm just, the thing is that somebody had mentioned Beyonce. And it's like, well, she's a Jehovah's Witness. Has anybody pulled her aside? Why pick out, it's crazy what they're doing. I mean, putting down all these rules, don't dress this way, don't dress that way, when they've got one who's right out in public. You know what I'm saying? She's got the public eye right there on her all the time.
Isn't that something, Deborah, huh? It's what a mixed up organization. Mixed up.
It is. It's crazy. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. Why not flaunt it,
Yeah.
But the thing is just because she's, got money and she's well known, all around the world, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense why they're bringing this up after they changed the rules themselves. It's crazy.
How long,
Rick? It was nice talking to you.
Well, Deborah, how long have you been out?
Let's see. I'm 70, and I left when I was 35.
Wow. Now,
so 35 years ago.
Now, you've called up here before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I've heard you before, Deborah. Well, thank you for calling back in. Always good to hear from you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Have a good New Year.
Well, you too. Yeah, have a good New Year yourself, Deborah. All right. Who else we have here? We got 860. Who's that?
Hey, Rick.
Yes, who's this?
This is
RJ. RJ, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm cranking away at it, RJ.
Our topic is dress code among witnesses.
Yeah.
I just remember the assemblies. You get a pretty good. You get to know people at your congregation and the neighboring congregations. But yeah, there was a lot of good-looking sisters at the conventions.
Yeah, well, I mean, they used to not to to overemphasize it, but a lot of the brothers, they used to, and even the sisters. Well, the brothers mostly, they used to, go on the hunt, so to speak, for a sister, and then sisters, they'd all parade themselves around, and even some brothers used to call it the meat market of all things. But I've heard that too as a younger Jehovah's Witness. I never did it. I never went hunting around for a girlfriend, but everyone did. I mean, I knew brothers that did it. and the sisters, they would all walk around because I'll tell you what, the field is very narrow, very narrow. That's one of the only chances they have a chance to meet a mate. And as they're getting older, the late teens, that's what happens in life. And so they wait for the conventions to come, and they look as pretty as they could be. They put their pretty dress on, they put their makeup on. Oh, they want to look good. They want to look good,
It's like the JW version of Pon farr from Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah.
But another thing about being a witness, I noticed this with my mom and some other people and how family members were, is in that environment, they're not going to have a chance to gossip about people who are half their age or 1/3 their age. They get that luxury because they know them through the community and because they know them through the Kingdom Halls.
Yes.
It's like a soap opera to them.
Yes. That's a good.
Because if they're, they're not gonna have people like that at their work or at their, whatever hobbies they have, but they do have it because they have the common ground of being a witness, that they know all about their business. They know what this person did and who they did it with, and they have an opinion on everything. But unless they're like a family member or close to them, they wouldn't have anybody to talk about.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Rick?
Yeah.
I was just going to add to your guys' conversation about the conventions.
Yeah.
And like when I was a teenager, my friends used to they used to have me be the fall guy. And what we call it the circle, right? Because you walk in the circle at Amherst or wherever, or even Providence if you're going back. But being raised as a kid in the 90s as a Jehovah's Witness, my friends used to push me into a girl, and like literally, and I'd hit her, and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," it would cause conversation, and then we would get all kinds of numbers. Girls from New Hampshire, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island. We're getting girls' numbers from New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, all over the place. I mean, that's just, I don't know, the more strict and Christian, overboard strict you act in a household like that, the more rebellion is just going to come out. And that's what happened. And I mean, we didn't do anything bad. We were just meeting people. But I mean, it's all a sham. We were all, I don't know. If JP and other people listening that grew up in that era, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, Eric, you got me thinking. It's almost, I'll tell you what, and we talked about this numerous times on the 6 screens. It's very difficult, and I'll tell you the problem the Watchtower is running into right now. Right now, there's a lot of single sisters, and they're all vying for a good Jehovah's Witness, spiritually minded man. And there's not as many as there used to be. And there's always been more sisters in the Jehovah's Witness religion than brothers. So, the field is narrowed here. So you get a lot of sisters really in competition with each other. So what happens in this organization is they try to find someone, and even the mothers of these daughters, boy, they try to matchmake. They really do. I don't know if that's happened to anybody listening in here, but a lot of the mothers they'd pick out a nice young brother in the congregation. Hey, Sandy, don't you think Eric's a nice man? Don't you think he'd be a good husband to you? I mean, they'll do this. It's like a caste system.
No, they do. My mother did it to me, and I rejected it. Her name is Melanie Adyard. If you're listening, I'm rejecting you.
Yeah.
No, these mothers, these Jehovah's Witness mothers, sometimes they have nothing better else to do but to play God, I guess. And my mom was one of them. She tried to get me with 2 people just like her, and I rejected it. Yep.
Well, no, I've heard that before. In fact, I'd be interested, Eric, is there anyone listening to this program tonight that your mother, or maybe even, I'll tell you another thing, sometimes even the elders or the circuit overseers jump into the game. Yeah. In fact, I tell you, there's been circuit overseers that have encouraged marriage, and some of these circuit overseers really went too far. I know of a circuit overseer, and even the district overseer that did not want a wedding to take place with two mature pioneer people. And for some reason, I never knew the whole reason, but boy, they had all kinds of talks. Don't get married. Don't get married. No one ever knew the real reason. But there's always these Jehovah's Witnesses, whether it be mothers, and you can't force somebody on you. You can't say, well, she's a nice sister. Go, Brother Farron, go like her, or Eric, or JP, or whoever. You don't. There's got to be some chemistry there. There's got to be something. But you just can't have your mother say you should like her. She's a spiritual girl. That doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it. How about you guys? Did you ever have someone try to match make you in the organization? It's an awkward feeling. It's a very awkward feeling because you want to do things that are right. But the only thing, in fact, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to name names here because I wouldn't do that. But a very close situation that I'm totally aware of is with a situation. There's a beautiful young girl, beautiful Jehovah's Witness girl in the congregation I used to go to. And then there was a young man. In fact, when I first met him, he had a big, long ponytail. He came out of drug rehabilitation centers as well as alcohol, but he was coming to the meeting. And one of the sisters got a flat tire in front of his house, and he came out and he helped her. It was nice. So she invited him to come to the meeting, and he started studying the Bible. So the young man comes to the meeting, and I first met him. He had a long ponytail. You could tell he had drug issues. But what happened is in the congregation I was going to, they were trying to match make him with this other beautiful young sister. And I was out in service one day in the car group. And don't you think, Brother Farron, that would be a good match? He's progressing along. He's spiritually minded. Boy, I just wasn't sure of that. I wasn't. But see, she was basing her whole matchmaking situation based on the fact that, he comes to all the meetings and he's out in service. Is that enough to marry someone? Really? Is that enough to marry someone? The answer is no. But certain people have experienced this. I'm going to tell you, there's marriages made in Brooklyn that have not been good. They have not been good. You might have gone to some witness marriages, some weddings, and it's only a short time after they broke up. I went to one of those. Maybe you did too. Oh, it was great. I was living down in Florida, and a young, handsome brother, beautiful young girl. They're going to get married. They have the wedding of the century in a big, beautiful hotel, lobster, steak tips. I mean, everything you could think of. Spent $1,000 on the wedding. The parents did. And they were married for only a few months. And everyone's going, what happened? Well, what happened to those guys? No, you just can't get married because, well, he's a spiritually minded man. There's got to be more to it, right? So there's a lot of marriages out there. And I talked to my wife, Susan. I got my beautiful wife, Susan. I talked to her about this. She could tell you stories, too. She could tell you stories in her hall where actually one sister actually committed suicide. Young sister. Couldn't handle her husband. It was a match made in Brooklyn. And boy, that just didn't work. Didn't work. She committed suicide because of it. Yeah, this is happening. So anyways, maybe you got a story to tell. Were you ever a matchmaker? Did anyone ever say, hey, you should, yes, go ahead.
Oh, hi, Rick. It's Donnie here.
Hi, Donnie.
Hello. Yeah, I've got a bit of a tragic story for you about, elders' wives that want to be matchmakers for their children. So in this town, in the Alton congregation, it's a few years ago, there was a brother who joined the congregation, nice young man, and he really liked this young sister, but an elder's wife wanted him to like her daughter. But anyway, he wasn't interested. He liked this young sister who was called Helen, I think. And And because he showed no interest in the elder's wife's daughter, the elder's wife started bullying Helen and made her life miserable. And Helen would complain to the elders about it, and they wouldn't do anything about it. And in the end, she actually committed suicide because she couldn't cope with the bullying from the elder's wife. So that's a really horrendous story.
Oh, that's terrible, Donnie. But how many stories are like that? We just gave you a story. You gave us a story. Susan gave me this. So how many stories are out there like that where actually suicide took place? How many witnesses might even be listening to this program tonight? They really can't stand their mate. Now, I can tell you, mostly in Florida, I saw this. I don't see this much up here in Massachusetts. But when I was down in Florida, I often would scratch my head and say, these people love each other? Is this a husband and wife? They wouldn't. I mean, you treat your wife with respect, and the wife treats their husband with respect. I mean, not only in the witness world it should be, but in all endeavors of the world, so to speak. You got a wife, you got a husband, treat them with respect. But I saw many of elders and even brothers that did not really show their wife respect. Up here in New England, Nathan, you can tell. Can you tell when a husband really loves his wife? Can you tell when a wife really loves her husband? I think you can. You really can. One thing I noticed, and this brother, he's up here in New England, but he was an elder, and I was good friends with him. I'd go out dinner a lot. His wife and my wife would go out to dinner a lot. And I would notice he'd get out of the car and just walk ahead, 10 feet ahead of his wife. Walk with your wife. I'm saying, gee, you're an elder. You should be showing respect to your wife. But I'm not just using him as one example. There was a lot of examples I saw. And then I also saw in the congregations in Florida in particular, gee, a wife dies and the husband is, within a month, within 2 weeks, they got another sister in the Kingdom Hall sitting next to them. I'm saying, my goodness gracious. I'm saying, I'm serious. I'm not joking, Donnie. Yeah, I'm serious. Really. Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you what, it seemed to, it was it was disturbing to me. I said, that's not fair. We had one brother down there. He was a Watchtower study conductor, and he was a nice man. He was. And his wife was a wonderful woman. I worked with her in service so many times. She was a little older than me, but she was so nice. And she died. I believe she had cancer. And she died pretty unexpectedly. And my goodness, within a short period of time, I'm going to say 6 weeks. I don't think it was even that long. I think it was 6 weeks. And all of a sudden, he's got this other girlfriend. So the Watchtower study conductor's son came to me. He says, Brother Farron, he says, I don't like this. I don't like seeing my father. My mother just died. And here's my father with a girlfriend already. It was very, very disturbing. Then I seen it happen again. So what happens, Donnie,
There's a lot here as well. There's a lot of desperation, isn't there? And I think to myself, because one brother, his wife died, and he didn't even have a funeral for her. We was a bit shocked about that. And the next thing you know, he's married. He's married a sister. Like 2 months later, that he was disfellowshipped for having an affair with 10 years before. And I thought, we're all pretty shocked about it. But people are desperate, I think, in that religion. So it's all very sad. Anyway, that's it really. So thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Well, Donnie, thank you for calling in from London. Go ahead, sister. You're on with us.
This is Angela, Rick, and this has been one of those things that's like really important to me. But it says in the Bible that men are to love their wives, and that women are to respect their husbands. And I really gave that a lot of thought one day, and I realized that it fits together beautifully because the men, what they want is respect. Women need love. And so if the man will just love his wife, really genuinely love her and show her a lot of love, then it makes it easier for her to respect him. But if she starts out respecting him, then it's much easier for the man to love the wife. And so that's what women need desperately, to be loved. And God knew that. And I felt that's why it's sent that way in the Bible, men to love their husbands and treat them as their own bodies, you know, that you would always, you know, you would never treat your own self badly. So, and since your wife is one with you, you treat her with a lot of love. And then she responds in kind, beautifully, and respects. But either way, men need to be respected, so women should respect them. But the other way around, I think it's not as effective, because we respond well to love and men respond well to respect. So anyway, I know I'm beating it over and over again, but I want to get it across. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to
Well, Angela, I think that's a wonderful narrative. I follow that 100%. And even my wife here, Susan, she really looks at the marriage situation in a really good way. You know, she wants me to be the leader. Now, I hate to even use that word, but respectfully, I respect her. She respects me. And as you were just saying there, a woman needs that, but she doesn't need some dominating, controlling person, you know, just telling her everything, as the Watchtower really would encourage elders and men to be. The Watchtower encourages men to be controlling over their wife. Disgusting. Thank you, Angela. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Rick, you know, I wanted to say too that, you know, a lot of elders spend, you know, tons and tons of time at the meeting. I mean, the meetings are over. They got 2, 3 hours, 4 hours of elders meetings. And I don't know, when I came in, I saw a lot of women that were really abused. A lot of them really looked tired out. When I was kind of, you know, studying along in my 20s, I would see a picture of the sister on the coffee table with her husband. And then I would look at this sister and I'd say, is that the sister? You know, I say, boy, she looks old. And it's because they have such a heavy load to carry. I mean, and sex is a big thing. You know, we were always told if you were past the bloom of youth, then it's better to marry. So if you were a horny guy, you know, they'd say marry. It wasn't fall in love, or like you say, have some chemistry. And the halls that I were in, Rick, they were dating places. They were just mainly dating, and everybody looked at the sisters. The sisters were always dressed to the nines. The brothers were always dressed up. Angela went in to the assembly hall and she goes, "My God, Dan, this is like a fashion show. My God, these women are dressed." All during the service? Yeah. Angela freaked out at how high end everybody dressed and really fine, you know, looking. And Angela said the fashion show went on during the service. She saw the girls walking around the outside. You know how they make a loop? The guys are going one way and the girls. Do you remember that, Rick?
Oh, yes.
The loop that they made around the assemblies. So anyway, but I remember, Rick, when I was dating a couple of girls, my uncle literally said this, and I've said it on the show before. But my uncle told me, he said, "Dang it, Dan, you're so picky, you know." And he had some girl out hanging from underneath a car, you know what I mean, with a T-shirt on, and he said she's a really great sister. And I was like, well, no, I'll just keep looking. And he told me, he said, just marry one. They all have the same movable parts. And this was a guy that, you know, got Beth-like kids, and but he says it boils down to movable parts, not getting to know them. They're female, you're male. Don't worry, everything will work. And I thought, I was so blown away when I heard that. And but that's excuse me, that's a lot of criteria in the church. If you're past the bloom of youth, it's better to marry. Just find a sister and marry them. And like you said, they're all ready to get married, and they think they're old at a young age. And it's so crazy, Rick. It's just the craziest thing. I couldn't help it but laugh when you were talking about the dress codes and stuff. I was like, you know, I'm looking back like you know, 20 some years back, and I'm thinking, my God, they're still telling these people how to dress. They're still telling them to wear this and don't wear that, and don't wear it too loose and don't wear it too tight, and don't wear, you know, don't do that. I'm like, my God, you talk about micromanaging, you know?
Well,
even in the organization, there's no trying things on for size either.
Good point. Good point.
Well, Dan, always good to have you call in and talk. And You had experiences that go beyond a lot in this crazy organization, but boy, we're so glad that you're able to work your way loose from it. But it's so hard to get it entirely out of your head. So hard. Yeah.
Have you ever, something weird, Rick? I was thinking about this today. When I left the Kingdom Hall, the world seemed like a freak show. I mean, it really looked like, the outer limits. The world actually looked like the outer limits. And it took a long time to adjust to normal. I mean, I was in the freak show. Have you ever watched that movie, Rick, The Truman Show? Has anybody ever watched that show? Did you ever see it, Rick?
Yeah, I can't remember. A long time ago I saw it. I can't remember too much about it, but I do remember portions. Yes.
Yeah, well, basically, they put Jim Carrey in you call it an altered reality. They basically built his world, and it was a simulation. They put him in kind of a bubble, and they had him living in this town, and they had everything working perfectly. And excuse me, Rick, but people were watching him. People were watching him on cameras. They were in bars, and they were watching this whole thing happen that Jim Carrey was in, and they were laughing. And there was a guy, at the end, he realized he was in this simulation, in this kind of matrix they put him in, and he was really pissed because he took a ship, and he was running toward the wall, which is where he was going to find his way out. And so in the simulation, they created a storm and all this stuff. But anyway, he bumps into the wall, and he's like, where the heck am I? And he comes out, and the guy's like, we put you in there. We've had you in there from birth. We like doing, it's kind of like we like doing things like this. And, and we wanted to watch you and all that. Watchtower is a Truman Show. And I'm telling you, I was there a couple of years ago. I was at an assembly, and it was run like a swift clock. And I thought, this is the Truman Show. This is the Truman Show. Because it looks like the perfect environment. The guy's counting, the big clocks, the big screens, everything is orderly and stuff. It is the Truman Show. And I want to say, if anybody's listening tonight, if you have not watched the Truman Show, you will get an idea of what we were in. We were in a Truman Show. And the reason I'm going to say it was a Truman Show is I didn't design it. The Watchtower, excuse me, the Watchtower created that world for me. When I was born, the Watchtower created that world. These are the elders, these are the players, everybody acted a certain way, but it wasn't reality. It was an altered reality. So I grew up in the Truman Show. I was born into the Truman Show. But if anybody
I feel like
hasn't
I
seen
just went into The Handmaid's Tale. Watch the trailers, gentlemen, even if you don't read the book. And even if you don't watch the soap opera, watch the trailers of The Handmaid's Tale.
Okay.
There's nothing as witness as that book and that show.
Yeah. Was that Pixie?
That's Pixie.
Yeah. It's amazing. If you will watch this stuff, if the people will watch these things, they'll actually see that what they grew up in was totally fabricated for them, totally designed, it's amazing. And Watchtower even goes to the next step of telling you how to dress, what to do in the bedroom, what to tell you how to eat. They've got a 24/7 clock.
In Handmaid's Tale, they got two groups of women, and they live in a place called Gilead.
Oh my God!
And if you ever heard of the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, she's a cult survivor. And she comes out of like a bunker after 15 or 20 years. And she's like naive and she's very cultish. And she's experiencing life for the first time.
Oh my God, I got to check it out. But honestly, what was that one called again? Angela wanted to know.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. We got to check them out because, guys, it took so long, and everybody knows this on Rick's show. But it's taken so long for so many of us to adjust to the real world. I really thought.
Have you guys seen Tuck Everlasting yet?
No. Tuck Everlasting.
Tuck Everlasting. Yeah. They made it into a musical. It's a one-part Disney movie, and it too is very, very witnessy. It's a very sweet show. But it has a little shocking ending. And It really reminded me of the Bible students. Tuck everlasting.
Okay, we've got it written down. And I just want to say this. It's normal. It's normal to feel like you've been screwed when you grew up in a Truman Show or a Matrix. It pisses you off so bad. I mean, and then you find out there's no love and it's a corporation, and you come outside, you got to deal with being pissed off. You got to deal with, you know, that you were lied to all that years. And that's exactly what Jim Carrey did. He come out, he was so pissed. He goes, who would do this to another man? Who would set up my altar, my inner kingdom? Who would set this fabricated world up for me? That's what I grew up in. You know, my dad had to marry my mother because she was a witness. He had to become a witness, and then he got indoctrinated. Then he went to the meetings and had his shots of endorphin, which is paradise tomorrow. And then he got his shots of fear, which kept him in. And then he raised us in that Truman Show. And I'll tell you, you are mad when you get out. And Jim Carrey was very mad. He was so mad, and they just laughed. The people on top just laughed. Yeah, we're your creator, they said, just like governing body said. You know, we're your masters. But anyway, Rick, sorry, I've been going on, but haven't been on in a while. It's nice to catch up to all you guys. Great to hear from all of you.
Wow, it's good to hear from you and Angela.
Show.
Well, in fact, Dan did have his own show one time, sure. And anytime he ever wants, oh yeah, years ago, Heart to Heart. I'd say about 5 or 6 years ago. Sure, they got a lot of people listening in, yeah. And anytime they ever want to do another one, we've got the doors open for them, because I'll tell you what, every time Dan comes in, the numbers go up. Him and Angela, they all love Dan. They love Dan.
Dan and money.
We love everybody out there, though. We've been out a long time, and we just love to tell people there's life after this stinking organization. You can build your life. I was in it till 40. You have time to reconstruct. You have time to rebuild. Don't think you don't have time. And, you know, we've always been thinking everything's the end of the world. You don't even have to look at that now, you know. So we've rebuilt and rebuilt a couple of times. Angela rebuilt from scratch at 40 some. I rebuilt from scratch, zero, you know, bankruptcy gone, finances gone, rebuilt from zero. And it's been 20 years later, but you know, now we feel like we're back on top again. So there's so much hope after that. It's not the last chapter in the book, unless you make it, unless we go victim, unless, you know, we just feel like it's the end of our world. It is the end of one world, but it's the beginning of another. But anyway, thanks for letting us talk here tonight, Rick. Thank you, guys.
Anytime,
you know, Dan. Nobody talks about that they wish they would have left later. It's always, I wish I would have left sooner.
Good point. That's a very good point. It's so true. It's so true. And I feel sorry for these Bethelites that are going to be laid off, you know, because of the AI, because of the different things. I saw one at an assembly, a guy a while back, and he was so excited about being at Bethel. He loved being there. Him and his wife were there. He even took a picture of me, you know. He didn't know, you know, I was holding one of the Bibles they say they don't use anymore. But he even took a picture with it. He was just so happy. And I thought, man, I remember being like that. I remember being totally lost in the illusion, totally lost in the idea that they presented, and totally loving it. And then I remember when that crashed and burned. And it's the most hardest thing. It's coming out of denial. It's the hardest thing, coming out of denial. And I just thought, oh my God, I feel sorry for this guy. All of a sudden he's going to come up. He's not going to have any kind of, you know, thing that he's paid into. Like Rick said on his show before, that they're not putting any money, you know, they're not paying anything to the government. They don't have anything to retire. And when these guys leave, they're in real hardship. So I felt sorry for him. I love the guy. I mean, I did. I just said, man, guy, God bless you. Enjoy your journey. But I know that journey is going to come to an end. And my heart just went out to him. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Do you want to say something, Angela?
This is kind of odd, something on the side here, but you know, anybody out there who's listening, Dan had a friend who he did a little bit of work in his young age. And then after that, he never worked again as long as he was alive. Now he's like 76 years old. And, you know, you can still get Social Security even if you only worked a couple of years as a teen. You'd probably get $800 a month. But, hey, that's better than nothing in Social Security if you don't have anything. So don't think that, like my brother thought, oh, I never put any money in. because all those years my brother didn't really work. He did his own business. I don't think he ever paid a dime to the government. But you can definitely get the basic living $800 a month. So I just want anybody listening out there who doesn't know that, please know that you could. Okay, that's it.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Angela, because I'll tell you what, a lot of witnesses may be listening in here tonight, and they really, they never really took full-time jobs. Many went to Bethel. They signed an oath that the poverty. They never paid into the Social Security system, so a lot of witnesses have been hurt. But thank you for sharing that with them. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Someone want to say something? Go ahead. All right. Well, anyways, I just want to say that here we are now, where we're at we're right up to the year 2016, and isn't it good? Isn't it really good to see that there's so many Jehovah's Witnesses now that are waking up and smelling the coffee. And as 2026 begins, Jehovah's Witnesses are no longer operating beneath the radar screen of governments, courts, and investigative journalists. Across multiple countries, democracies, long-standing practices, once shielded by religious freedom, are now being examined through the lenses of human rights, child protection, and state accountability. We want to say thank you for all those nations: Norway, Belgium, Sweden, Slovakia, Japan. There's 13 of them that I counted that are all examining the Watchtower. They have the Watchtower under the microscope. And we hope that 2026 can really be even far worse than 2025 for the witnesses. Friends, I don't know how they're going to escape all of this adversarial positions that governments are taking on them. Only time will tell, but I think 2026 is going to be a year where people find out more about this cult than ever in the history of the Watchtower. I want to play this. I played it in the beginning. This is an AI film that we did in the last couple of weeks. It's Charles Taze Russell. It's not Charles Taze Russell. This one has to do with Rutherford, the second president of the Watchtower. I want to play it, and I want to say to everyone, thank you very much for coming in tonight to the Six Screens Telenetwork. Spread the word. Let people know we do it every Saturday night. And we're going to do it tomorrow, Sunday. We have a Sunday edition every other Sunday that starts at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So by all means, if you can come in tomorrow, we'd love to have you for our Sunday edition of JW World News. We get into theology on Sunday. We get into theology. We don't discuss it on Saturday night. But if you get out of the Watchtower because of biblical reasons, by all means, join us tomorrow. We have a number of programs beginning at 1 o'clock. So I just want to say this. I want you guys all to stand tall. Don't you ever give in, up, or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. I want to play this clip for you right now. I think you'll find it very fascinating. This is an AI clip that we just put out 2 days ago. Already there's tons of people that have been writing me about it. They really, really do like it. We're going to continue to do more of them. So let me share the screen, and we'll end it with the Judge Rutherford. Let's play the film right now. Give us a second.
While leading a religious organization that preaches abstinence and righteousness, Joseph Franklin Rutherford, second president of the Watchtower Society, was known for his excessive drinking and personal indulgences. Despite the prohibition, when the United States made it illegal to manufacture, sell, or transport any intoxicating liquors, Rutherford and his agents allegedly imported liquor illegally from the International Bible Association in Toronto to the Watchtower headquarters in Brooklyn. Rutherford even published articles defending the use of alcohol, highlighting his personal habits during his time leading the Watchtower Society which stands in stark contrast with the spiritual sobriety promoted by the Jehovah's Witnesses. Despite the contradictions of their founding fathers and well-documented evidence, the Watchtower Society continues to refer to him favorably as Brother Rutherford, as mentioned on the official website, jw.org.
On the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.